Yo, what's going on, guys? So today what I got for you in this video is going to be a gameplay between my Leafeon Zoroark and a Glaceon deck. Now, I do apologize, the gameplay is kind of late. I like to kind of wait to see what I'm playing against, and then I'll flip on the recording and see if it comes out to be a good game. Warning though, however, I actually did misplay a couple times in this game, and my opponent did too. They were pretty big misplays, but I don't think they really messed with how the game was going to turn out. But as you guys can see here, Leafeon Zoroark, Leafeon, one of the new cards from Ultra Prism. It's got Blessings of the something, and what it does is it heals, I think it's 50 damage from a Pokemon that has energy on it, as long as it's your active. And then it has an attack for 110, which is Solar Beam. Then on top of that, it also has a GX attack that allows you to evolve all of your Pokemon on your bench. So that's kind of like the idea that I was going with, a Pokemon that can not only be a secondary attacker, but can help me set up and can also have like a pretty solid attack. So as we see, Glaceon has an effect where if it's your active, it shuts off all the abilities, and then it has an attack that is basically Umbreon's attack, which is a 90-30. And then its GX attack, I think it does damage for however many damage counters are on your opponent's Pokemon. So I just got hit with a counter catcher, and right here I think my opponent is going to start targeting my Zoroark, just kind of setting him up for that GX attack. And I'm getting kind of ready for it here. In this list, I'm playing Puzzles of Time, and I really like puzzles in Zoroark. I just, for some reason, I've been lacking on that, and I realized they're actually pretty freaking strong, especially whenever you're able to utilize multiple trades in a turn. You can usually dig out those puzzles pretty easily. So right here, I decided to play a couple of them, and I'm going to grab some cards that are going to help me out here. I decide to grab, I think, a Cynthia and a Guzma just to get some supporters back in my hand. I believe that's what I grabbed. But this gameplay was actually pretty interesting because Glaceon's going to be shutting off my trades. It's going to be shutting off my Tapu Leles. And then on top of that, Glaceon is just all around a pretty solid attacker. And this is actually one of the decks that I'm working on, is a straight Glaceon variant. And then I'm working on a couple other Glaceon variants. But right here, I just decided to Guzma up this Eevee to get myself to an even 4 prizes, so that way I don't have to try to knock out some other stuff later. And I've actually been targeting the Eevees in this matchup. I think this was the same one. My opponent got it back with a Rescue Stretcher, I believe. And so right here, I'm just kind of attacking the Eevees, getting these knockouts while I can, and just kind of setting up my Pokemon. Mostly because I'm expecting my opponent just to start like sniping stuff down, so I want to try to take these early prizes as quick as possible. And just kind of getting some trades out of the way. Now, I actually dropped the Gardenia that you see in my hand. I actually dropped this card from my list. I think it was after this game. Just because I just didn't feel like I needed it too much, because I do have Leafeon's effect. And then on top of that, I have Acerolas. And so there we go. 4-6 prize lead. My opponent does promote Tapu Lele. And I think the cool thing about Glaceon on top of that is you can get it set up pretty quickly. But right here, my opponent, I think this is the gigantic misplay that my opponent does. He, for some reason, promotes my Zoroark with no damage on it, and I think it might have been a misclick, but my opponent's about to do the GX attack, I believe. But just with Aqua Patch being able to grab water energy from your discard pile and throw it on Glaceon just makes it really quick to a start, just start attacking, and then his GX attack is pretty solid. It's really a really good two-shotter, and it just really messes with a lot of decks. So there we go, guys. My opponent actually does misclick, I believe, and I was reading the attack, and I was like, oh, man, that sucks. And there you go. He sends the Broken Heart. And I can always forget how to send stuff. So, yeah, that definitely does suck. And right here, I do make a questionable play. I'm going to Acerola here, and I'm actually going to pick up this Zoroark with 30 damage just because I want to guarantee myself the DCE. I don't want to have to try to fetch for it. Yes, I could sit there and trade a bunch of stuff out of my hand to play the Cynthia, but I just wanted to try to guarantee it. Looking back now, that was an extremely questionable play. I think I could have probably went with something else a little better. But yeah, for some reason, I just decided not to use trade at all during that turn. So I feel like that might have been a turn where I could have done a lot more, and I didn't. And right here, I'm going to get hit by an end. So I'm actually going to lose all this stuff, and all this stuff I could have traded is going to go back into my deck. And I pulled 2 Cynthia, 2 in, and a Puzzle of Time. So my opponent actually does have a Alolan Ninetails, which could be a problem for me, mostly because I only play one regular Zoroark in this list. I've actually been thinking about swapping maybe like a third, swapping out the 4th GX for a second Zoroark, mostly because I just keep running into Hoopa and Alolan Ninetails. But that's just something I might try out for the future. Still, nonetheless, I think that 4 GXers are just really solid. And there we go. We see the 90-30 coming down, and he's actually going to be targeting that Zoroark. So I'm actually going to evolve this Leafeon here just so I can try to make sure my opponent can't snipe down an Eevee. But that Espeon on the back here is actually going to do some damage here in a minute. Unfortunately, I couldn't answer back really. That's one of the weaknesses I think with Zoroark is it can't necessarily one-shot. It can only do about like a max of 150, which could be an issue. Which is why I really like Zoroark Buzzwole. I feel like Zoroark Buzzwole was like one of my favorite decks. Just a cool idea. But yeah, that Espeon back there. Espeon is such a good card, and unfortunately, it's going to be rotating out soon. But it's just so good now because like evolutions are just kind of taking over and they're kind of rising. And so pretty much here, I'm just going to take the 2 prizes, and I know that my opponent's going to promote this Espeon, and it's going to devolve my 2 Zoroarks and take a couple prizes off the Zoroarks. And so that's definitely really unfortunate. But I actually think I have a Grass Energy on both Leafeons, and that's kind of how I've been playing this deck because with Zoroark, you really need to throw down 1 DCE. And so from there, I have 2 puzzles, or I have 4 puzzles at a time and 2 special charge in my deck. So I just decided to throw the Grass Energies down on Leafeon because you never know when that 110 might come in handy. But pretty much like my strategy right now, since I don't have the regular Zoroark in my hand, I'm just going to try to Guzma around. And my opponent actually is going to promote this Leafeon here. So there we go. There is the devolving attack. So my opponent is going to be going down to 4 prizes opposed to my 2 prizes. And that just really sucks. Espeon definitely is a card that you do not want to mess around with. And I feel like it's just so good with Glaceon, because you can kind of sit there and pick off and kind of damage up those Pokemon on your bench, and then you can come in with a big Espeon play, which is pretty solid. And so right here, I have 3 Zoroarks, 2 Leafeons, a Zorua, a Guzma, Sycamore, Puzzle, and 3 Energy. So pretty much my only course of action right here is to just attack with Leafeon. I mean, that's about the only thing I can do. I can get myself a Zoroark into play, and then I have to kind of wait for that. And for some reason, I'm thinking about trying to go for a different play here, but for some reason, I don't know why I was thinking that. I think the best course of action right here is to just attack with the Leafeon that's, fully charged up. And right here, I just start, using trade, just getting some stuff out of my hand that I don't think I'm going to need anymore. And I apologize if you heard my automatic sprayer going off in the background. It likes to do that. So pretty much right here, my opponent, he only really has Espeon on his field as a threat, but I knew that can change really quick with an Aqua Patch DCE attachment. And the cool thing is, at this point, I don't have to worry about that GX attack coming into play. And if my opponent does retreat this Espeon and doesn't disrupt my hand at all, I pretty much have the game won, because that Espeon only has 60 HP left. And we see right here, my opponent's just going to promote the Alolan Ninetales. I think he's going to try to stall for a little time here. And I'm waiting for a supporter to drop or him to pass his turn. That pretty much signals that I'm going to win this game. And there we go. There's the Gladian. So that pretty much guarantees that I'm going to win this game at this point, because I'm not expecting like a red card or something like that, or just any type of hand disruption that's not a supporter. So yeah, so I'm just sitting here looking at my hand. I got the Guzma DCE, so I got this game won. And my opponent did play, he played pretty good. He's got a pretty threatening deck. It's just my deck was just kind of working in this game, and we definitely did make a couple misplays, but hey, I mean, it happens. I'm still learning this deck, and sometimes misclicks do happen on Pokemon TCG Online, unfortunately, and I've definitely lost a lot of games because of misclicks. But there we go, guys. I'm going to Guzma, give my opponent the GG, tell him he has a sweet deck. I'm actually working on this deck, so that's kind of funny. But there we go, guys. I'm going to hit him with the Righteous Beating, taking my last 2 prize cards. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hope you did enjoy the gameplay. Have a fantastic day, guys. I love you, and I'll catch you in the next video.